As we turned down Main Street and we came around the bend, the trees lining either side of the road brought back memories as a youngster coming with our Sunday school here to have our picnics every June and to play the games, to sing songs for the residents of Bethania. It was always such a thrill. The story of Bethania is quite wonderful as well. In the mid-1940s, a group of concerned Mennonites from Winnipeg joined forces with a group from southern Manitoba and founded the Mennonite Benevolent Society. They adopted a motto, bear one another's burdens. A group of interested people bought this area in the Parkdale site. There was a very large mansion and several buildings. And it was quite a task to clean and to restore these abandoned buildings. But in 1945, Bethania was created and was home for elderly and infirm. In the first year of Bethania, it was home to 62 people.
I started here when I was 16. Well, in here we had about 6 to 8 cows that we had to milk. Then we got about 2 milk cans full of milk. We had to transport to the kitchen. And that was every day. Sometimes I wonder what they did with all the milk. They had vegetables, I don't know, unbelievable. I mean, we had it by the river there down, and I guess the soil must have been very good.
The Parkdale site, just north of Winnipeg on Main Street, was described by staff and residents as a large, extended family. First-generation immigrants dedicated themselves to the task. Churches held their Sunday school picnics on the beautiful grounds to create connections with residents.
We came from Winnipeg to Parkdale in a truck. We had high jumping, broad jumping, relay races. It was just very well attended.
So they announced our engagement at Bethania while we had the picnic. They had all these tablecloths laid over, people sitting on the grass on both sides, and there they announced our engagement. And since then, Bethania is important to me.
The years from 1968 to 1970 marked a large turning point for Bethania. With expanding healthcare standards and growing community needs, the vision to build a care home in Winnipeg took root. On May 21, 1970, residents were transported by bus from Parkdale to a new 100-bed facility on Concordia Avenue. And with it came formalized volunteer groups.
That's when Kay Winter got extremely involved, and she said we needed a Frauenverein, and she got all these ladies together and started something. They came from the Mennonite community, and there were 5 churches that were really involved from the beginning, like Douglas, First Mennonite, Springfield Heights, Roach, and Sargent.
If you want an animated conversation, just ask the Women's Auxiliary. Who makes the best zwieback for Mennonite Day, the spring tea, or the Thanksgiving celebration? Home-baked goods, quilts, and raffles have generated tens of thousands of dollars for projects that fall outside of regular operational budgets. Hair dryers, rocking chairs, whirlpool baths, hymn books, and recliners are just some of the items purchased over the years. The really immense contribution of the auxiliary has been friendship with residents, along with the fundraising activities.
And I don't dare put my name in those books, because should I ever win, they would say she wrote all the tickets in her name. So I sell the tickets and people win.
Then I stood once beside a gentleman when they were calling the names out, and he had bought just that minute 1 ticket. And he was so annoyed that he didn't get anything. So I told him, I said, well, I buy every year quite a few tickets, and I said, I haven't won anything in my life yet.
During the 1970s, Bethania's structure moved into a collaborative model with government. 1987 marked a key milestone for further expansion. The idea to expand came initially from government.
I remember the day I was sitting in my office, got a phone call from the Deputy Minister of Health asking if I could come to the Ledge for a meeting with him. And I said, when do you want me to come? Well, he wanted me there that afternoon. And what it boiled down to is that politically there was an election in the offing, and they wanted to be able to announce that they have this project on the books to expand, an additional 50 beds of nursing home care in this riding, whatever the riding was at the time. 8 years later, we got the approval for that project.
The expansion included a new atrium and a dedicated chapel space.
There's kind of a suspicion about religious entities. Are we self-serving in some ways? Are we open-minded? Are we inclusive, I guess is the big word that's used nowadays. And so that was part of my job, I felt, is to reassure them that we were okay and we would play by the rules and we would cooperate and so on.
In the 1980s and 90s, Bethania became a leader in the Mennonite community in hiring trained chaplains. The logic from the board and administration's perspective was this: if we don't have volunteer kitchen or nursing staff, why would we have a volunteer chaplain?
Whether the person is in the jerry chair, doesn't say a word a day, in a day's time, that person is just as valuable, just as fully a person as I am, who's walking on with two healthy legs and feet. I remember one man, he lost his legs. He says, am I still a person? He was sharp, nothing wrong up here, but am I still a person? These people have so many limitations: visual, hearing, perception, memory, all the physical limitations, so that we need to be able to read the person and adjust according to their needs and limitations in spiritual care.
Doris Furtado walked into Bethania as a high school student during a healthcare aid practicum. Over 3 decades later, with many years of training along the way, she still feels at home, and she's managed a lot of changes in healthcare.
When I first started here, the residents came in walking, right? You didn't have residents that, were in wheelchairs and things like that. They're at a higher level when they first came in. Now residents are staying out in the community, for a lot longer, and then coming into the personal care home. So they have a lot more needs, in physical needs and also psychological needs. A lot of residents with dementia. Yeah, I was here with the implementation of the computerized system and for our charting system, and it was a big initiative because we had nurses here that were here for a long time, right? Didn't know anything about computers or how to do them. So we did a lot of education in that. It did change the ways that we provide care. It brought everything together in one spot.
Care has gotten much more complex, but Bethania continues to meet those challenges in the same spirit as when it began.
Bethania has evolved from the early days from just serving Mennonite seniors. These days, residents come from all Christian denominations, such as Dutch Reform, or Lutheran, or Catholic. We also have people from other faiths, or those with no specific religious beliefs at all. Our staff also reflect a broad diversity, with employees representing 29 different countries. Leading a faith-based organization with a long history of serving the community and embracing diversity has been a profound privilege for me as the CEO.
Somebody then had the foresight to buy, I don't know how big this plot that we're sitting on is, but it must be about 20 acres. And we have room for the Concordia Hospital, for Concordia Place, for Concordia Village, for Bethania House, and we still have empty land across Concordia on the other side. Now that took an awful lot of foresight. This was in the mid-40s, and I'm sure at that time this area was open land. If we can get that kind of forward thinking, where we don't think of what can I get from this place, but what can I leave with this place, then all will be well.
My recollection of Bethania has always been that It has been an intergenerational community.
We visit Bethania once a month. This is the third year that I've been bringing kids to Bethania. And we come on a regular basis to do crafts or play bingo or different variety of games with the residents.
Last time I came here, I won a grand prize, which came with like a bag of chips and like 2 king-size chocolate bars. So I love spending time with little kids and older people. So I noticed they're a lot more gentle and nice and are easy to talk to.
The students asked me if we could negotiate coming more than once a month. Like, that says a lot about how much they look forward to it.
I think it was ingenious to look at all the aspects of our life, to include young people like Peter Braun as a 16-year-old, to employ him here, and to look at the women who were nurses in Ukraine, and to bring them here to work with the residents in Bethania. So it was a very holistic look at healthcare when you think of it.
My son sometimes asks me, the one that lives here, he says, Mom, what do you like so much about this? And I says, everything, I like it so much. And he sometimes doesn't believe me. He says, Mom, are you filming? You pretend to like it? Have you really like it? And I said, yes, I really do. That was funny, that he wouldn't even, he thinks, how can you be happy in a nursing home, you know?
The past 75 years tell a remarkable story of vision, creativity, and tenacity. So what lies ahead? Those of us who may require Bethania in our later years will undoubtedly help shape its future. We know that spiritual care will always be an essential part of our home, and that our church community will continue to support this good work. May the next 25, 50, and 75 years tell an equally inspiring story as we keep the promise to always bear one another's burdens.